Curious about what goes down during a home inspection? Well, let's find out.
Welcome to another episode of Behind the Scenes.
All right, on today's show, we are going to be behind the scenes with our inspector, Jeff from Inspection Services Northwest. We're actually going to be tagging along with him on 2 different inspections. So let's get right to it. Let's introduce Jeff. All right, on today's show, we're here with our favorite inspector, Jeff, with Inspection Services Northwest. Been working together for, over 12 years now, huh?
Yep, at least.
Great. Jeff, tell everybody about you.
I've been inspecting, like Aaron said, for about 12 years. Love my job, get to see, meet great people, and get to go to different areas, so it's very interesting work.
So before we actually get into the nuts and bolts of the home inspection, why don't we talk about what is a home inspection and why you might need one? So a home inspection is something that you can do before making an offer on a home, after making an offer, or you could be a seller, in fact, doing an inspection before listing the home. We're not going to focus on that piece today. Today we're going to talk about the inspection that we do either before making an offer or after being under contract. Whether you're doing a pre-offer inspection or a post-offer inspection, it's the same. What you're looking for are defects in the home. What you're looking for are things that weren't readily apparent when you first took a look at the home, things that maybe weren't disclosed, maybe the seller didn't know about them, but you're looking for material defects in the home. That's what a home inspection is for. Purchasing a home is a huge investment. So spending the time and money up front to make sure you know what you're getting into when you purchase the home is a good investment. Let's start with the logistics. How do you choose your inspector? Fact is, most buyers don't know a home inspector, so they're relying on the real estate agent to refer one to them. So we've used lots of inspectors over the years. We really love Jeff over at Inspection Services Northwest. Now, of course, buyers, it's always their decision who they use, but I refer Jeff out whenever I can. So as you'll see throughout this video, he's very thorough. He's got a great approach to everything, explains things really well and concisely, and he's just a good guy. So what happens whether you're doing this pre-offer or post-offer? We will call and schedule the inspection. Usually we need a couple days lead time, but sometimes we can get them at the last minute. And then what happens? So we're looking at about anywhere between 2.5 and 4 hours for an inspection. Let's say on average they're about 3 hours. You as the buyer don't have to be there the entire time if you don't want to be. As the real estate agent here in Washington, we have to be there the entire time. But regardless, as long as you're there, like the last 45 minutes, that's the most important because that's where he's walking you through everything that he found. Now, of course, you can be there the whole time, and some buyers choose to be, but that depends on your schedule. So how much does a home inspection cost? There's a pretty good range depending on the size and the condition and the style of the home, but you can generally plan on between $500 and $700. So what can you expect to walk away with after the inspection? Well, in our case, Jeff will take you through a complete summary at the end of the inspection and point out everything that he found. He'll also let you know what's a big deal, what's not a big deal. The next morning, you'll receive a 75-page inspection report that is loaded with all kinds of great information. But the key thing is you're walking away really with peace of mind. You're knowing what you're getting into or maybe what you have decided not to get into in some cases. So why don't we dive into this inspection right now and see what we find. So Jeff, can you just briefly take us through the process of what you do when you're going through and doing these inspections?
So the big thing you want to be concerned about is water, especially where we live. We get a lot of water. So we start on the exterior, start with the roof, do the siding, all the grounds, cement work, and then move to the inside, do mechanicals. And at that time, we're looking at foundation from the outside and from the inside. And then we have a thermal camera, which we're looking for plumbing and roof leaks. And then we do note anything that's a safety concern, like hand railings and trip hazards and things for people to be aware of. And then we do the kitchens and baths and run a lot of water, trying to uncover leaks, and just basically making sure the customer understands what where the controls are and how to operate the house, actually.
That's great. Okay, let's talk about what is included in a home inspection. A home inspector is going to get in there and look at and test every major system in the home. He's going to start at the roof, he's going to end in the crawl space or basement, and he's going to look at everything. He's going to look at the quality and condition of the roof. He's going to look in the attic. He's going to check out the electrical system. He's going to test all the plumbing. They will literally turn on every plumbing fixture in the house and flood the system and then go into the crawl space and see if there are any leaks. Obviously, he's going to be looking into the attic. He's going to be looking at the HVAC system. They're going to be checking the foundation, the crawl space, all the major systems. Now, these inspections are not intrusive. In other words, they're not cutting open the drywall and looking inside the walls to see what's going on. Now, one of the reasons that I love working with Jeff is that he uses thermal imaging cameras, which really does allow them to look inside the walls. It's looking at the temperature differential, so you can see if there's insulation missing. You can see water leaks because the wet areas inside are going to be much cooler. So a lot of really great things can be done with that, just to give you, the buyer, a much better insight into what you're purchasing. All right, one of the many reasons that we use Jeff to do our home inspections is this. Thermal imaging cameras. It's the only way to really look inside the wall, right?
Yeah, we're getting the heat signature, and plumbing issues or roof leaks would show up as a darker area.
Yeah.
Or it could be insulation. And I have to investigate this. See all that?
Oh, okay. So the dark, what the dark is means that it's colder, right? Okay.
Right. So we'll see if that's missing an insulation or a roof leak, because we're very close to the chimney.
Ah, okay.
That's so you can tell that it's insulation missing. It's square.
Ah, yeah.
It's not, moisture would be round.
Right.
Rounder.
Right.
Yeah. More defined. That's kind of a soft edge. So it's worth checking.
Okay.
Because you never know.
Now, a good home inspection is going to cover a lot of things, but it's not going to cover everything. Some examples of things that the home inspector won't cover are swimming pools and saunas, sprinkler systems, alarm systems, oubliettes, tree forts, and tanning beds. There are things like septic systems and sewers that they don't inspect, which are going to be an additional inspection. Now, a septic system is actually going to be on the seller to have an inspection. We can talk more about that at a later time. But a sewer scope, particularly if it's an older home in the city of Seattle, you're likely going to want to get a sewer scope. And that's going to be done at the same time as the home inspection, hopefully, but it's not the same inspection. It's a separate inspector and it's a separate cost. Okay, now the inspection's over and we've got the report in our hand. Now what? Well, it depends. If you remember at the beginning, we talked about there being two types of inspections. There's a pre-offer inspection, what we just call pre-inspection, or a normal inspection where you're under contract and you have a home inspection. In the case of a pre-inspection, which you may need in a market like we have right now, which is very competitive, you're doing the inspection before even writing the offer. And you're doing that because the inspection contingency itself is a bigger risk for the seller. It's probably one of the biggest risks when they're looking at offers with different contingencies in it. The inspection contingency allows you as a buyer really the opportunity to get out of the contract with no cure, without giving the seller the opportunity to cure anything. So that's why when we're in a competitive situation, doing that inspection before writing the offer produces a much stronger offer. So if you're in that situation, now you've done the inspection and you have the report, really, it's just, you can look at it as a punch list. Now you know everything that is going on with the house, and if you choose to move forward with that offer, we're really not going to be able to negotiate anything or ask for anything to be done. But you can use that information to craft your offer. In other words, if you were planning on offering X, maybe now that you have this inspection, you're going to offer X minus this because there's going to be all these things that you're going to need to do. But essentially, it's just there for your information, so you can have some peace of mind when if you get the house and you close on it, you'll know what's going to be coming down the road. Okay, in the case of a normal inspection, and by normal I mean we're already under contract to purchase a home and we have an inspection contingency built into the offer. We do the inspection, we have the report in hand, and now we have some choices. First of all, during that initial inspection period, you're given anywhere from a few to up to 10 days to do all the inspections that you would like to do. So to do the home inspection, do the sewer scope, maybe have a specialist come out. This is probably a good point to note too. You have this initial inspection period. There's also oftentimes built into that are these additional inspections. So meaning if we have 5 days to do an inspection and the inspector comes there on day 3 and says, hey, I really recommend that you have a foundation specialist come and take a look at this. We can invoke that additional inspection time to have somebody come out and take a look at that. So these are all going to be very dependent on the particular offer that you've written, but suffice it to say you have the inspection report in hand and now there's some choices to make. So there's basically 4 different things that you can do. The first thing is to say, hey, we did the inspection, we approve it, we're off to closing. So you're not asking for anything, you're saying everything's A-okay, and you move on. The next option you have is to walk away. You did the inspection, it's a hot mess, and you're saying, I don't want it. So we go back and we terminate the agreement, and that's it. You don't lose your earnest money as long as we're within that inspection period. That's it, done deal. And yet another option is for us to ask the seller to make repairs or modifications. Now that we're armed with our inspection report and we have all the data that we need, we use that to formulate a request. And so maybe we ask them to do X, Y, and Z. Alternatively, we don't have to ask them to actually make repairs. We can ask for either a credit to closing costs or a reduction in purchase price. And we can talk about the pros and cons of that when it comes to your particular transaction. But those are the options that we have with the inspection report. So once in a while, somebody will ask me, when do I not do a home inspection? And the answer to that is when you're going to tear the house down. That is literally the only time you would not want to do a home inspection. Doesn't matter if it's a condo, new construction, it's just been inspected by the city, none of that matters. It's a huge investment, always do a home inspection.
So Jeff, how many? You've been on thousands of inspections.
Probably 5,000 or 6,000.
5,000 or 6,000. That's crazy. So what's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
I actually found a dead seal in a crawl space.
A seal?
Because it was right next to the water, and they had a really high tide, and it washed in there, and it was not smelling well.
Oh my goodness, a dead seal. Okay, I don't think we're gonna find a dead seal here on Finney Ridge, but if we do, you can bet we're gonna take a video of it.
No.
Thank you everyone for watching another episode of Behind the Scenes. We hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. As always, if you have any real estate related questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you have any feedback about our series Behind the Scenes or any other content we put out, we would love to hear your feedback. So thank you so much and take care.
House goals realized. JanusGroup at RE/MAX Integrity.
It's a tooth!